Thank you for joining us. This is our presentation for the proposed security policy for Investco, brought to you by Josh Haas, Jordan Rader, Tanner Sawyer, and Cody Pettit. Let's get things started with a recent experience. One day, while the secretary was hard at work, she received a call and assumed it was IT. They were asking for the CEO's password so that they could update some software. Presuming that it indeed was the IT department, she offered up the password without hesitation. After hanging up the phone, she realized her mistake and quickly contacted the real IT department, where they instructed the CEO to change his password immediately. Although they determined that no data was lost and everything was safe, it was still very frustrating. In industry, there is a 43% chance that an investment company will suffer from a data breach, and each data breach costs $188 per lost record. This comes to a whopping total of $3.5 million per data breach, which could greatly impact our company. In order to help prevent us from suffering similar losses, let's look at some areas of concern. The two biggest areas of concern are password management and security culture. The current password policy requires employees to have longer passwords, to change them monthly, and to never reuse the same password. While the principle is good, the implementation is poor. Currently, employees are forgetting their passwords, changing them all too often, and creating predictable patterns, causing the passwords to be weak and very easy to hack. Inadequate emphasis on security has also led to a poor security culture. The shortage of trainings has led to a lackadaisical attitude in the office. Employees writing down and vocalizing passwords has become a norm, thus putting the security of the company at risk. These concerns are what inspired the security policy revision. After analyzing and identifying potential risks, we have devised a policy written to overcome these shortcomings based on COVID-5. The new policy will emphasize security while balancing accessibility and usability, improve password management, and foster a security-conscious culture. Our policy focuses on 5 main points: preventative controls, detective controls, corrective controls, data retention, a data recovery plan, and business continuity plan. More specifically, we want to emphasize on physical access controls, logical controls, and controls designed to guide personnel. In order to ensure that our assets are protected, we want to increase our physical security. All doors should remain locked at all times to prevent unauthorized access to the workstations. In order to control who can gain access to the workplace, each employee is required to carry an access proximity card that will unlock the doors. This will assure that only authorized personnel have access to the facilities and help deter potential intruders from entering in unauthorized. Once we've determined correct access, we want to make sure that the right people are accessing the right information. Passwords will be more secure, requiring 8 or more characters, a mixture of upper and lowercase letters, numbers, and symbols. Employees will never write down or share passwords and will only change passwords every 6 months. In order to reduce the frequency of password changes, a multi-factor authentication method will be adopted. Along with a password, employees will also carry with them the assigned token authenticator. This will generate a random number associated with a login and will be a second authentication method. Employees will carry these token authenticators with them at all times and will report the loss of their authenticators immediately. Lastly, all employee terminals will lock down after 10 minutes of inactivity to ensure that no unauthorized user has access to data. Now that security is tighter, we want to make sure that all members of the company are on the same page. Upon hire, each new employee will receive a security awareness training. Every subsequent third quarter, a company-wide training will be held to refresh and update all employees on the current security policy. In order to create a security-conscious culture in the company, managers should set the example to other employees by strictly adhering to the security policy. After observing the obedience of management, employees will be encouraged by both management and peers to heed the security policy, thus creating a security-conscious culture within the company. Even though we have controls in place to help prevent a data breach, not all breaches are caused by personnel. The second largest cause of data breaches are malicious attacks, and we want to be able to detect when these happen through log analysis and an intrusion detection system, or IDS for short. All access logs, as well as multiple failed login attempts, will be routinely examined to detect attacks on the system. Along with a review of the logs, there will be continued monitoring through the IDS, which will monitor all normal traffic and alert the admin to the potential threat, thereby helping detect an intrusion. If indeed there is a breach, we need to be able to eliminate the attack. A Computer Incident Response Team, or CIRT, will be assembled after detection that will be comprised of both technical specialists and management. They will be charged with recognizing the breach, containing the incident, recovering any lost data, and following up on the incident by analyzing how the incident began and taking the necessary precautions to ensure that the breach doesn't happen again. Although our technicians are very capable, sometimes our employees are the ones that detect the error. In this case, there's a specific reporting tree that will dictate the flow of information and who needs to be contacted in order to correct the problem. Even though our company will be more security focused, there is still a possibility of data loss. In the event of a breach, we want to be able to recover the lost data. Every Saturday night, we will create a full backup of the system, with differential backups being done daily. These backups will be stored on 2 different copies of the database to ensure that there has been no failure of the backups. In the event that there is a major problem with the facility, there will be a prepared hot site where the personnel tasked with the essential business practices will be able to resume working immediately. These facilities will be tested yearly to ensure that a transition to them will be smooth and free from error. Let's take a look at some numbers. Throughout the industry, the average impact of a data breach is $3.5 million, and the likelihood of a data breach with the current system is 43%. With the updated system, this number decreases to a minuscule 4%. Just to crunch the numbers, with the present system, we're looking at an expected loss of $1.5 million. However, with the updated system, this number drops dramatically to a much smaller $140,000, which would reduce exposure by $1.36 million. With an additional value of $1.3 million and an initial outlay of $229,000 and a possible exposure of $140,000, we're looking at a total net benefit of about $1 million. A couple more number crunches show that within 1 year, there's a 270% return on investment. So let's review. The current system suffers from poor password management and poor internal security culture. This leaves us very vulnerable and with a potential exposure of $1.5 million. With the new system, there will be increased password management, an improved security culture, decreased exposure, and a good balance between security and accessibility, which will bring a net benefit of $1 million. Thank you for your time. If you have any further questions, we'll be more than happy to answer them on April 9th.